What's up, readers and friends across the internet? I am Stephen Walls and welcome back to Read Much. Today I've got a book that you've probably never heard of before. It's pretty obscure. I mean, it's pretty thick, so it took a while to get through it, but I listened to it on audible.com, so that really helped me kind of finish it. But yeah, I just wanted to review this book because I feel like it deserves to be read by some people. Sherlock Holmes. It is a healthy-sized book, and my copy, as you can see, has been treated unfairly. Why are its pages not fitting in the book? Somebody was just too vicious with this copy. Sherlock Holmes, Volume 1. I didn't realize, I thought this was the entire series. I'm now confused by the book that's in my hand. Sherlock Holmes, the complete novels and stories. Volume 1. If it's complete, why are there more than one volume? It doesn't matter. Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Awesome. I did this on audible.com because I enjoy running, and I listened to this series back in 2015, I think, when I was running to get in shape for my wedding day, which was a wonderful day. And then I just recently listened to it again. I was gonna make notes and kind of go through this, but this thing is huge, so I just want to give you my opinions on the series and why I think you should check it out. Not only are there multiple TV versions of this amazing set of stories, and I think there's even one that was recently released. This book has inspired cartoons, which I was super pumped about because when I was reading through it, I didn't realize this, but Cartoon Toby is actually a character in the series. That's fantastic. That made me so happy that my main sniffing dog, hunting down the bad guys, Toby, was actually a character in the series. Couple reasons why you should at least listen to the audio of this book. If not, pick up this massive thing and read it because it's classic. That's not a good reason, but you've probably heard of this story or this series, and that's why you should read it, because it is that good. People still talk about it and make movies about it today. Didn't mention that before. Not only is it a TV series, there's at least 2 movies with Robert Downey Jr. in it. They're fantastic, and so is the book. I really enjoyed Sherlock Holmes. Something that's kind of cool about this little series is it's written through the perspective of Dr. Watson. I had forgotten that. I had totally forgotten that it was told through Dr. Watson's perspective, and I really appreciated that it was. It kind of gave you his thoughts and insights on what happened, and it made me think of Luke from the Bible. Dr. Luke is a physician. Dr. Watson is a doctor. Dr. Luke was a historian. That's why you have the book of Luke. Dr. Watson is a historian. That's why we have the stories of Sherlock Holmes. It was just kind of a cool parallel that popped in my mind as I was listening to this series. But these stories are really cool. Of course, it's about detective. It's detective work. But I really enjoyed some of the quirks of Sherlock. I had forgotten that he's basically a functioning drug addict. That kind of was, I don't really appreciate that he's a drug addict. I did appreciate that he's human, and so he's not just a superhero, he has his flaws. I liked that throughout the series I was trying to figure out who did what and where this could be before they revealed it to you. And then after they revealed it to you, you're like, okay, now that I have the puzzle pieces and I have the solution, shouldn't I be able to make these fit? And usually the answer is no, because you and I are like Dr. Watson and think normally, but Sherlock Holmes was able to put together certain things that seemingly were not related in order, and they were actually related. But the way that Mr. Doyle writes, occasionally you actually don't have all the pieces. Sometimes Sherlock will pick up on subtle little things and details in the room that you and I can't pick up on because we don't have his set of skills. They're things that he could pick up on, but not you and I. So even though you and I may not be able to solve all the mysteries that he's able to solve, even though we get a lot of the data throughout the chapters and the different mysteries that are presented, it was still really fun and engaging. I found myself really invested in not only the different characters, but the relationships. You know, I wanted the best for Sherlock. I wanted the best for Dr. Watson, and I wanted them to really grow in their friendships. I wanted them to be successful in their mysteries and the things that they were trying to solve. And then I also wanted, you know, Dr. Watson to have a life outside of work. I wanted him to be able to grow in his romantic relationship. I wanted that for Sherlock Holmes. So it was just kind of cool how throughout the series I started caring for these different characters, and I always wanted them to solve all of their mysteries, even if they don't solve all of their mysteries. I thought most of these stories were well thought out. The amount of detail that Mr. O'Doyle puts into the different mysteries was really impressive. I really enjoyed how he was pulling these characters and mysteries from all over the globe and then bringing them to London, to where we get to see, I think, what, isn't it on Baker Street? We get to see Sherlock solve these different mysteries, whether he had to travel there to solve them or if he could solve them from his living room. That was always cool. If you're at all interested into mysteries, if you're all into classics, I recommend these. Some of them are better than others. I mean, this has a whole bunch in there, but like The Hound of the Baskervilles, that's one that my father-in-law really enjoys. He always throws out little quotes here and there from that story. But there's some in there that are just kind of obscure, and you'll never remember them. And then you could read this book like me, read it again, listen to it again, and it's totally fresh. But I mean, it's so big that unless you reread and probably watch the television series, you're not going to retain all of it anyway. So I really enjoyed coming back to this book years later and finding that I had just as good of a time this time on round 2 as I did on round 1. So I really recommend this book to you. There's lots of ups and downs. Pros about this book is there's a lot of development and referring back to previous mysteries that were solved. So it's kind of cool how this is its own little world. Another pro that I really liked was that it's based in London. At least that's where Sherlock and Dr. Watson are. Sometimes in stories it's a completely fictional place, so you try to relate to it, but you can't. But you can enjoy it. This one was kind of cool because it is an actual place, and so you could really see these guys walking down the streets. You could see them running through the rain. You could see them ducking into the bakery or smelling the smells of a bakery as they walked by. It was just kind of cool and made it relatable. Some of the cons, I would say some of the stories might be a little bit slower to develop than others. Some of them are more obscure than others. Some of them you wish there was more data so that you could try to solve them better. One of the cons is if you were potentially a Mormon. The first story in this book is pretty harsh against Mormons. And that was something I remember when I finished it the first time. Talking to a family member of mine, he was like, yeah man, he gave the Mormons really he really beat them up in that first chapter or that first story. And I was like, yes he did. So I guess if you're a Mormon, maybe don't read the first one. He definitely has a negative approach on the history of Mormonism. Okay guys, so 2 more things I thought were interesting. One is another con I thought of for Sherlock Holmes. It wasn't really a con for me, but I could see how it would get a little bit repetitive. And so I wanted to share it with you. At the end of almost every single mystery that Sherlock solves, if Watson couldn't figure it out, the endings are very repetitive. In the sense that Sherlock will solve it, then he'll ask Watson, like, can you solve it? Did you figure out everything that I figured out? Did you figure out the solution? Because you and I both had access to the same facts. And Watson will be like, no, I don't understand. He's very surprised that Sherlock could solve these mysteries. And then Sherlock explains it to him, and then Watson will say, now that you say it, it's super clear to me. And that's pretty much like almost every mystery that he solves. But that could be a potential con for you if you don't want to hear that every time. Me, I didn't mind because I was like, Watson, I wanted to know the solution. So I felt Watson's confusion and pain. So it didn't bug me, but I could see how that could rub some people the wrong way. Another thing I found very interesting as I'm listening to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Sherlock Holmes also had it where they talked about God or the creator, not a creator, the creator. And I just found that interesting that these older books seem to allude to a single God creator, aka I think it could be assumed that they're referring to the Christian God. And I just thought that was very interesting, that popped up in Sherlock Holmes. I don't think I was expecting that. But hey, just a fun fact. I thought it was cool. All in all, it's a very fun set of stories. Very engaging, very thought-provoking. I don't know if it goes by fast if you read it, because I listened to it, but it was very easy to press play. It was very easy to revisit this book. It was very easy to press play every time I go running and look forward to listening to the next set of mysteries. I really, really had a good time working my way through this collection of short stories. But I want to hear from you. Have you read any of the Sherlock Holmes series? Have you watched any of the television shows? I have not watched any of the television shows, so if you have one that you recommend, leave in the comments below, because I think I would like to watch one of the television shows. I really enjoyed the book and I really enjoyed the movies, so I think that'd be right up my alley. But let me know your thoughts. Do you have any book recommendations for me to pick up? I enjoyed this. Is there another set of mysteries that you think I would enjoy? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe and leave comments below. I would love to engage and interact with you. And I just want to leave you with this. I have a question for you. Do you even read much?